Chapter 11 Stop Pretending, I'm Showing Off My Cards. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Come out, Firefox, that he pushed away the two younger brothers who were supporting him and staggered to his feet, a fiery red soul power spread out from his right hand, and then condensed into a fiery red fox shadow. The next moment, the Firefox possessed him. Attacking beast spirit, upon seeing this, Huo Feng also released his Wuhuan iron sword. The white soul power enveloped the entire right arm, and he clutched the iron sword tightly. A group of work-study students simply don't know the heights of the world. The senior student had a hint of sarcasm on his lips, and the next moment, a white halo rose from beneath his feet. Soul ring. Huo Feng was shocked, even though he had never seen what a soul ring looked like, but this white halo is definitely a soul ring. If you remember correctly, the white soul ring is within the range of 10 years and has not exceeded 100 years. Such an arrogant and domineering senior student only has a white soul ring. This boy is going to be miserable. The boss's soul power has reached the 12th level, and a single soul skill can make the shit out of that kid. Wait until that boy begs for mercy. That little loli is quite arrogant. I must take care of her in a while. Some senior students around were bragging. The bruised nose and swollen face of their boss who had just been beaten was instantly forgotten. Huo Feng's expression also became serious. The opponent has one more soul skill than him. Although it is only a white soul ring, it is still difficult to deal with. Let you also have a taste of the fists of labor and management. That the senior student made a fist with his right hand, and his fist was filled with thick fire. He stepped down and punched Huo Feng. The latter jumped up, raised his sword with both hands, and struck down with one sword. Dang! At the moment of contact, Huo Feng took more than 10 steps back before stopping. There were actually slight black traces of fire left on the sword. On the other hand, the other party also took 10 steps back. Some people clenched their fists in pain. Just now it could be attributed to a sneak attack, but this time, I went all out and still didn't get any advantage. As a senior student, I felt a little angry for a moment. The corners of his mouth twitched twice, and he was already losing his mind. The first soul skill. Big fireball. The fist-sized fireball slowly condensed and grew larger, and the red flame crackled. That's enough, stop it all. This is the cafeteria, not a place for you to compete. At this moment, an unharmonious voice suddenly appeared. The former's half-released soul skill suddenly turned off and was withdrawn, because he saw the speaker. It was Xiaogang. Although this person called the master has no actual position in the college, he is the dean's friend after all. They, the students, would definitely not dare to talk back. Master, I. The senior students were obviously very unhappy because they had not regained their face, but because the master appeared, he could only let it go. Huo Feng also received his martial spirit. He had just planned to find an opportunity to get in touch with the senior student and then sacrifice to him. This way the battle will be over quickly. Now that Xiaogang happened to appear, it saved some trouble. Grandmaster. Huo Feng also said something symbolically. Xiaogang nodded, and then looked into the crowd behind Huo Feng. After only 2 breaths, he withdrew his gaze. Originally I thought Tang San was among them. Who would have thought that there would be no Tang San? Didn't Tang San come with you? That Xiaogang asked very concernedly. After all, Tang San was his beloved disciple. Tang San feels a little unwell and is resting in the dormitory. Huo Feng smiled and spoke calmly. A faint change appeared on Xiaogang's stiff face. Okay, I get it. Immediately afterwards, he went straight to the stall at the back and bought some things, packed them together, and left the canteen. After being stopped by Xiaogang, the previous senior students did not dare to cause trouble again, but only on fists and feet. At this moment, they were still cursing and cursing. Of course, these include the previous words like poor guy and poor guy. Labor and capital means having money and being able to afford big fish and meat. Brothers, I'll treat you to this meal today, so feel free to eat. The senior students who had been holding back their anger suddenly felt a lot more comfortable when they saw Wang Shengyi and the others looking greedy. What are you looking at? Can you afford it? Have to. Huo Feng felt helpless and didn't want to show off. However, there is always someone provoking. No more pretending. I'm showing off my cards. Under the gaze of 2 groups of people, Huo Feng walked straight to the stall where the group of senior students had just gone. You need to order separately here, and the price is not cheap. Hey, kid, you don't think the things here are something that working study students like you can afford, right? That's right, look at how poor you are, stop being embarrassed. That Wang Sheng was also a little anxious. He was afraid that Huo Feng would be angered by the other party and do something irrational. He immediately walked behind the former and whispered. Boss, there's no need to argue with these bastards. Let's just go downstairs and have something to eat. I'll treat you. Wang Sheng patted his chest and showed a very honest smile. Go and ask the brothers to find a place to sit down. I'll treat you to today's meal. Under the shocked gazes of Wang Sheng and everyone else, Huo Feng slowly took out 4 gold soul coins from his pocket and handed them to the boss inside the stall. Then, he pointed at the group of senior students. We also want a portion of the same meal as them, but we have to have a big portion of everything. What? Golden soul coin. 4 gold soul coins. Boss, am I right? Wang Sheng's head was buzzing. The boss didn't pay attention and took out 4 gold soul coins from his pocket. This is equivalent to 400 copper soul coins. Not far away, the group of senior students who were preparing to watch the show were stunned one by one. I was stunned in my seat, looking at the small portions of food on the table, and I was speechless. The young man at the head spurted out a mouthful of rice. This meal is not a small sum for him. I just chose to treat him to dinner just to show off in front of these work-study students, and he only ordered a small portion, which cost him 3 gold soul coins. Now Huo Feng directly ordered an identical one, and it was still a large portion. How can he accept this? Spray rice? It's fine if no blood spurts out. Okay. The boss took the gold soul coin, and soon large portions of delicacies came out of the pot. Huo Feng and others gathered around the Liangzhang table and enjoyed their meal. On the other hand, the other group of people not far away looked uglier than the last. Those who don't know better think that they are not eating, but eating feces. Outside the student dormitory, Xiaogang called Tang San out alone. He first handed the latter some food, and then said, I've said hello to the academy. You don't have to go to class tomorrow. I'll take you to find a suitable soul ring. By the way, when Huo Feng comes back, remember to tell him that you will be together tomorrow. Chapter 12 Tang San's Law of True Fragrance. You are listening at NavelFull.audio. Hearing the previous sentence, Tang San was immediately overjoyed. After obtaining the spirit ring, his strength would definitely increase to a higher level, and now the practice of Shantian Gong has come to a standstill. Only after obtaining the soul ring can we judge whether it is affected by the soul ring, but when Xiaogang said that he and Huo Feng should go together, Tang San was obviously stunned. Huo Feng had already refused to become a disciple, so why did the master still take him with him? If the former does not become a disciple, he can still get the same treatment as his own apprenticeship. Then didn't he count out 3 times in vain? Although he was confused, he couldn't ask directly, so he nodded in agreement. Teacher, I understand. Seemingly noticing some subtle changes in Tang San's mood, Xiaogang gently patted the latter's shoulder. Come to my dormitory alone this afternoon. I have some things to ask you. Tang San felt happy when he heard this. Sure enough, there are still benefits to becoming a disciple. The master must spread his profound knowledge to himself. Good teacher. He leaned over and bowed slightly to Xiaogang before going back to the dormitory. Opening the food the teacher brought for him, Tang San's eyes lit up. A few white flour buns and even a chicken drumstick. This is pretty good for him. Tang San couldn't help but feel lucky that he didn't go to the cafeteria with Huo Feng and the others just now. Not only do I have to owe a favor, but the food may not be as good as this. Having been on the road in the morning and feeling a little weak, I was actually very hungry. He finished the chicken legs in 2 or 3 bites, and then started eating steamed buns. At this moment, there was a bustling noise outside the dormitory door. I haven't had such a feast in a long time. Who isn't? The boss is really awesome. Don't you see that the faces of those senior bastards are all green? Let's see what qualifications they have to be arrogant in the future. Where was their awesomeness before? Why did it suddenly disappear? Ha 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 ha. Bang! The dormitory door was pushed open with some force, and then more than 10 people swarmed in. the leader was none other than Wang Sheng. At a glance, he saw Tang San sitting in the corner eating steamed buns. Their eyes looked at each other, slightly embarrassed. "Where's the stuff?" Wang Sheng shouted, then turned back to look at the crowd. "Here I am, boss." "Pa," that the person who answered was only halfway through his words when he suddenly received a solid slap on the head from Wang Sheng. "What boss?" "Brother Feng is our boss." Wang Sheng grabbed a bag of things that the man was holding. Yes, my bad mouth." The work-study student who realized that he said something wrong quickly apologized. "Brother Sheng, I understand, Brother Feng is the boss." The Feng brother they refer to is naturally Huo Feng, although the latter is still young, but it's strong. "It's not too much to call me Brother Feng, right?" Tang San was stunned by this scene. Is Huo Feng's prestige so strong now? The most important thing was that he didn't see Huo Feng at all among this group of people. By the way, there is also that girl named Xiao Wu. Except for the two of them, everyone seems to be back. At this time, Wang Sheng held something wrapped in brown paper and handed it to Tang San's hand, with a look of pride on his face. "The boss is treating you to dinner today. He knows you haven't eaten, so he asked us to bring you some." Tang San took it and opened it, then he was stunned for a moment. Half a roasted chicken, half a steamed fish, and half an elbow. In fact, everyone couldn't eat the leftovers. Huo Feng was about to leave when he suddenly thought of Tang San. It also allows him to nourish his body, and maybe shorten the cooldown time of the sacrifice. Tang San's face was full of surprise. The last time he saw these three things appearing together was probably when he was in the Tang sect in another world. Since traveling to Douluo Continent, eating porridge is considered good, let alone meat. This. Wang Sheng said that the boss was treating guests to dinner, and that was Huo Feng, but how could Huo Feng have the money to treat someone to such a luxurious meal? As he was also in Holy Soul Village, he was very aware of the former's family conditions, that was immediately related to starvation. If it hadn't been for old Jack's donation of some food, I'm afraid people would have died long ago. Tang San picked up the elbow and took a bite, soft, fragrant, and satisfying, not dreaming. So delicious. No matter what, eat first and then talk. As expected, this was the law, and Tang San couldn't escape. He swept away the leftovers at the speed of a storm, feeling unusually satisfied. The whole process only takes 5 minutes. Now it was Wang Sheng's turn to be dumbfounded. He just went out to wash his face, and when he came back, Tang San even threw away the garbage after eating. "You said you have no appetite." Only then did Tang San remember what the master said to him. In the end, it's the mouth that eats people. He suddenly felt that it must be reasonable for the teacher to ask him to go with Huo Feng. "Didn't Huo Feng come back with you?" Tang San asked Wang Sheng. "You mean boss?" "He went for a walk with Sister Xiaowu, saying he wanted to familiarize himself with the situation in the college." When Wang Sheng mentioned Huo Feng, his expression became more exciting, and he also called Xiao Wu Sister Xiao Wu. He was also impressed by Xiao Wu's methods just now. It's not too much to call her Xiaowuji, right? Should be back soon. "Okay, I know, thank you." Tang San replied politely. If Huo Feng didn't come back for a long time, he would have to go to the master first and talk to the master when he came back in the evening. Sure enough, less than half an hour later, Huo Feng and Xiao Wu walked into the dormitory door chatting and laughing. As soon as they entered the door, everyone in the dormitory stopped no matter what they were doing. "Let's say hello to Huo Feng first." The latter naturally smiled and waved in response. He also didn't expect that the effect of this meal was surprisingly good. Only Tang San was as calm as standing out from the crowd and walked straight towards him. As he got closer, a smile appeared. "Huo Feng, thank you for bringing me food." Huo Feng quickly shook his head and waved his hands, and replied nonchalantly. "We are all classmates and we are from the same village. This is nothing. Anyway, if I don't give it to you, the uncles and aunties in the cafeteria will pack it up and take it back to feed the pigs. This saves trouble." Tang San didn't know what Huo Feng was thinking, so he said some polite words. Then he took the ladder directly out of the dormitory and into the corridor. Others in the dormitory looked curious, made it so mysterious. But naturally they wouldn't ask too much about the boss. "If you have any questions, just say it directly. We are all classmates." Huo Feng was speechless. What was worth talking about in private? Could it be that in order to thank himself, Tang San wanted to use his second martial spirit, the clear sky hammer, to smash a walnut for himself? Tang San looked around and found no one, then he lowered his voice and said. Teacher will take me to hunt soul beasts tomorrow to find a suitable soul ring. He said let the two of us go together tomorrow. Huo Feng frowned slightly. He finally understood. Tang San only said that Xiaogang would help him hunt the spirit beasts, but he didn't say that he would help him obtain the spirit ring. Do you want him to go with Tang San? What does Xiaogang have in mind? Correct. Huo Feng suddenly remembered something in his mind and immediately replied with a smile. Okay, since the master has spoken, let's go together. Tang San needs to hunt spirit beasts to obtain the first spirit ring, and he has a hidden mission. As long as you sacrifice Xiaogang, you can get a 500-year-old yellow soul ring. Isn't this a good opportunity to get in touch with it and then sacrifice it? Chapter 15 Tang San vomited blood and sacrificed the mandala snake. You are listening at NaVoFull.audio. The hidden mission of sacrificing Xiaogang is completed. System reward, 500-year-old yellow thunder soul ring. Additional reward for hidden missions, space storage ring soul guidance device. Sacrifice points increased by 50 points. In view of the host's current environment, the system rewards are delayed, and the host can choose when to receive them later. Bang! Xiaogang, who was running wildly, suddenly became dizzy, his vision went dark, and he fell to the ground. Tang San, who was being held by his right hand, was also thrown out directly, and it was still facing the direction of the mandala snake. Huo Feng's situation would be much better if he had been prepared in advance. The moment Xiaogang fell, he made a clever roll, successfully relieved his force, and squatted firmly on the ground. Bang! Almost at the same moment, Luo Sanpao screamed and was thrown heavily to the ground. Wah! The next moment, its body turned into a purple stream of light and reintegrated into Xiaogang's body. Xiaogang, who was already weak, suddenly felt as if he had been hit hard and passed out completely. Master, what's wrong with you, Master? Are you okay? Huo Feng squatted next to Xiaogang and shouted loudly on purpose. The purpose is, of course, to make your reaction look more realistic. Xiaogang fainted and fell into a coma, but Tang San was still conscious. At this moment, Tang San stood up somewhat staggeringly. The moment he was thrown out by the teacher, he was stunned. If he hadn't activated the Shantian Kung in time, he might have been thrown to pieces. Hearing Huo Feng shout, Tang San immediately looked back. The teacher who was fine just now is now lying straight on the ground. He seemed to have fallen into a coma. Huo Feng next to him looked anxious and at a loss. Hiss! At this moment, the mandala snake's voice suddenly sounded. Tang San didn't have time to look further, so he immediately turned around. The ferocious mandala snake opened its mouth wide and twisted its body as it chased him at an extremely fast speed. Oops! Tang San cursed secretly. The datura snake has obviously regarded him as its primary target at this moment. The situation was urgent, and Tang San didn't have time to think too much. As soon as he stepped on it, his body jumped up slightly, he raised his left hand slightly, and a black light shot out instantly and silently. It was the Shoujian that Tang San secretly forged. At this moment, his eyes completely turned purple. The Shantian technique is running at full speed, and the purple demon eye is fully activated. Only in this way can you clearly see the movements of the mandala snake. Dang! A sound of gold and iron clashing exploded from the field. The sleeve arrow hit the hard scales of the mandala snake, causing a series of sparks to fly. The severe pain made it scream. The dark green scales suddenly lit up with a faint yellow light. Tang San's arrow made it completely angered. Mandala's speed suddenly increased, approaching Tang San almost instantly. At the critical moment, Tang San took out a dagger that Xiaogang had quietly thrust into him. All the power of Shantian Kung is applied to both hands. The blue light in the palm flashed rapidly, all concentrated on the short sword. At this moment, the mandala snake arrived instantly. The bloody mouth exuded a trace of cold air, making Tang San shiver involuntarily. He raised his left hand and sucked hard on the snake's head. An inexplicable suction force caused the mandala snake's head to turn uncontrollably. The next moment, a blue light appeared out of thin air and shot into the mouth of the mandala snake. The 4-meter-long snake's body suddenly stiffened for a moment. and the dagger flashing with blue light was completely submerged into the snake's mouth. Tang San, who was already sweating profusely, let out a long breath. On the surface, his movements are smooth, but in fact, he has reached the limit of his body. For some reason he always felt that his body was not as good as before. Tang San naturally wouldn't know that he had been sacrificed twice as a sacrifice, especially since the second sacrifice was just 2 days ago. It's strange that the body can recover. Suddenly, the body of the mandala snake, which had been stiff just now, began to shake violently. For a moment, sand and rocks flew on the ground, the surrounding flowers, plants and trees were instantly destroyed. Not good. Tang San was startled. With a deep look of horror in his eyes, the scarlet eyes of the datura snake stared at Tang San full of resentment. It exhausted the last bit of strength in its body, swung its snake tail and swept over heavily. Ghostly. Tang San took a step forward, only to find that the power of Xiaogang had been exhausted just now. My legs were trembling and I couldn't even take a step. Bang! The heavy snake's tail arrived in an instant and swept down Tang San's body heavily. Tang San, who was thin, flew out directly. He didn't stop until he hit a tree a few feet away. Tang San spurted out a mouthful of blood after his body suffered such a heavy blow. His eyes went dark and he passed out. TSK. This Tang San won't let E-tail whip him to death, right? Huo Feng, who was not far away, ducked to Tang San's side. Fortunately, I'm still alive and can't die. He breathed a sigh of relief. Tang San is dead. Who will he sacrifice in the future? Looking at Xiaogang and Tang San's current state, they probably won't wake up in a while. At this time, Huo Feng turned his attention to Mandala, who was not dead yet. At this moment, it was still twisting wildly, and all the flowers, plants and trees within 5 feet of it were smashed to pieces. But its physical strength is limited after all. Soon the datura snake's hysterical and crazy struggle gradually became calmer, and finally fell to the ground without any movement. Light yellow light spots floated out from its body, and then condensed above its body, forming a bright yellow halo. Yellow soul ring. Huo Feng felt very strange when he saw the yellow soul ring for the first time. Sure enough, the 400-year-old soul ring looked much better than the previous white soul ring of the netherworld wolf. What a pity. Huo Feng murmured to himself. He already had the 500-year soul ring awarded by the Yulan system, otherwise the mandala snake's soul ring would be suitable. Ding. At this moment, the system sound suddenly sounded. Warm reminder, the soul ring produced by the soul beast is independent of the soul beast itself and can be sacrificed separately. Single sacrifice. Huo Feng showed a smile. In other words, the mandala snake and its soul ring can be sacrificed twice separately. In this way, it is appropriate, and a 400-year-old yellow soul ring will not be wasted. I just don't know the value of this yellow soul ring sacrifice. Thinking of this, Huo Feng immediately issued an order to the system. System, sacrifice the mandala snake soul ring. Ding. The mandala snake soul ring sacrifice was successful. 100 more sacrifice points. 100 sacrifice points. Not bad. Huo Feng nodded. This value is enough. Xiaogang, who had sacrificed level 29 before, was only given 50 sacrifice points. Looking at the dead mandala snake on the ground, Huo Feng spoke again. System, sacrifice the mandala snake. Ding. The mandala snake sacrifice was successful. Sacrifice points increased by 100 points. Chapter 16 Tang San's broken arm. Xiaogang. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Add 100 more sacrifice points. Huo Feng roughly estimated that his current sacrifice point should be close to 500 points. Once you have accumulated 1000 sacrifice points, you can exchange them for some nice things in the system mall. The open space in front of him was in a mess, and the huge body of the datura snake had disappeared. Well. Suddenly, a faint voice came from not far away. Huo Feng turned around to follow the sound and saw Xiaogang, who was in a coma, twitching slightly, but it seems to be a reaction produced by the body unconsciously. Wake up soon. So fast. Huo Feng was a little surprised. Xiaogang's martial spirit was severely damaged, and he himself was sacrificed. I originally thought I would have to remain unconscious for a while. judging from the situation, it shouldn't take long for him to wake up. That being the case, Huo Feng left the place where the mandala snake was raging in a flash. He came to the corpse of the previous ghost wolf, got some wolf blood, mixed with soil and leaves, and smeared it all over his body, especially his face and chest. His clothes and pants were also ripped casually. After doing this, Huo Feng found a tall grass nearby and lay down directly. Even this look simply looked more seriously injured than Tang San. Little mistress, that about a quarter of an hour later, Xiaogang woke up suddenly as if he was having a nightmare, calling Tang San loudly. When he came back to his senses, he realized that he was lying on the ground in an extremely weird posture. Hiss, that the slightest movement caused a tearing pain all over his body. At night, the surroundings were pitch black. For some reason it was eerily quiet, not even a bird chirping could be heard, and Tang San and Huo Feng were nowhere to be seen. Xiaogang panicked immediately. Although he doesn't have much conscience, he still has some conscience after all. If Huo Feng and Tang San disappeared so mysteriously, it would be difficult for Noting Academy to explain. These are two excellent experimental seedlings used to test one's invincibility theory. He endured the pain, climbed up from the ground with some difficulty, and looked around. However, a somewhat shrill scream suddenly sounded from the field. Xiaogang, who had just stood up, fell to the ground again without any warning. His face had turned a little dark, and beads of sweat kept pouring out on his forehead. What's even more terrifying is that Xiaogang feels that his limbs have become a little stiff, and his entire right arm had swollen to twice its original size at some point, and its color began to turn black and purple, poisoned. Datura snake is extremely venomous. Goo! Xiaogang swallowed hard. He suddenly remembered that just before he fell into coma, Luo Sanpao was bitten by the mandala snake. The bite was on the right front leg. Because the beast spirit and the host are one, poisoning the spirit is equivalent to being poisoned at the same time. Xiaogang circulated his soul power. His face was gray and his eyes were dim, because he didn't deal with it in time. Now his weak soul power can't restrain the powerful poison of the mandala snake. The most serious thing is that now his consciousness is gradually becoming blurred. He would pass out again at any moment. With the last trace of vague consciousness, Xiaogang tore off a piece of cloth from his clothes and tied it at the base of his upper arm. At the same time, Huo Feng, who was lying in the grass, heard nothing. The evening breeze was gentle, just in time to fall asleep. After a long time, Tang San woke up from his coma. After discovering that he was still alive, he did not show any excitement, but checked his physical condition immediately. Using the Shen technique, he checked the inside and outside of his body. Finally, he let out a long breath. Just 2 broken ribs, the rest are just some superficial injuries, not fatal. Then, he directly performed a wave of rib picking with his bare hands. Xian Tian Gong, Xian Yu's hands fired together, and he shouted towards his chest with one palm, reposition 2 misaligned ribs. Then I picked up 2 branches and simply wrapped them with cloth strips to fix them. Even with the help of Shen Tian Kung, the severe pain was still almost too much for Tang San to bear. Now he felt extremely weak. Old teacher, at this time, Xiaojiang's figure suddenly appeared in his mind. Tang San looked around and realized that he was not where he was just now, and the Datura snake has disappeared. He shook his head, vaguely remembering that he had been slapped by the Datura snake's tail. Then there is no more. Tang San stood up staggeringly, looking around anxiously. The purple devil pupil is released. Soon he saw Xiaogang lying motionless on the ground. Teacher, Tang San's heart tightened. He suddenly remembered that the teacher had already fallen into a coma before he fought the Datura snake. Huo Feng was still next to the teacher at that time. Now the latter is also missing. Now he couldn't care about where Huo Feng was, whether he was dead or alive. He endured the pain in his chest and came to Xiaojiang's side. Teacher, what's wrong with you? Are you okay? Tang San shouted, but received no response. His eyes fell on Xiaojiang's face, and his heart suddenly tightened, and he almost blurted out. Poison. The latter's entire face was surrounded by black air, his body was stiff, and he looked like he had completely lost consciousness and entered a coma. The right arm was 3 or 4 times swollen than normal, showing a purple-black color that looked like necrosis. It's the venom of the Datura snake. Tang San's memory recovered little by little, and he recalled that Luo Sanpao had been bitten by a mandala snake just now. It's exactly where the right front leg is. The beast spirit and its host are of the same body, so the teacher was also poisoned. He reached out and felt the pulse of Yu Xiaojiang's left hand, and then secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, there was a cloth strip tied at the base of his upper arm, otherwise the snake venom would have spread throughout his body. Even if the title Douluo comes, there is nothing he can do to save him, but the situation at hand does not seem optimistic, because he was born in the Tang clan in his previous life. Tang San was quite familiar with how to deal with poisonous injuries. But because Yu Xiaojiang delayed for too long, the toxin had completely penetrated into the entire right arm. At this time, it is simply impossible to simply force the poison out, and now, the only way is amputation of an arm. If you want to save your life, you can't have this arm. Tang San made a decision immediately. The current conditions were very simple, but he could only do this. If it were delayed for a while longer, Yu Xiaojiang would not be able to hold on any longer. I hope the teacher won't resent me when he wakes up. He first lit a bonfire, and then took out the dagger that exuded cold air. The dagger was repeatedly baked on the campfire, and the blade slowly turned red. Seeing that the fire was almost done, Tang San tore off a ball of Yu Xiaojiang's clothes and stuffed it into the latter's mouth. Everything's ready. Xian Tiangong and Xian Yuhan began to operate at the same time. Tang San held the dagger firmly in his right hand, and cold sweat broke out on his forehead nervously. The purple demon eye was released, and he stared at the base of Yu Xiaojiang's arm. Grit your teeth and stamp your feet. With a fierce wave of his right hand, he slashed down with one sword. Chapter 17 The Master's Great Disciple. You are listening at NavelFull.audio. The red-hot dagger easily penetrated the flesh that had been eroded by the snake venom. Purple-black blood suddenly spurted out, accompanied by a thick fishy smell. Seeing this, Tang San increased his strength again. Dang! Not just when he thought he was about to succeed, the dagger hit the bone in his shoulder. The bones eroded by snake venom have become extremely hard. It actually caused Tang San, who was using the Shantian technique, to tremble with his right hand and almost throw the dagger away. He took a deep breath. The scene in front of him was really shocking. Adjusting his breath, Tang San raised his right arm and swung it down with all his strength again. Click! In the silence of the night, the sound of broken bones was particularly clear. Tang San, who had been prepared for a long time, was trembling in his heart. He applied the medicine he had prepared in advance to the broken arm and combined it with Shantian Kung, which quickly stopped the bleeding. Then Tang San used his mysterious jade hand, grabbed Yu Xiaojiang's severed arm, and threw it away. It's really hard to accept this thing in front of you. Another reason is that he is more afraid that Yu Xiaojiang will not be able to think straight after waking up. At this moment, Yu Xiaojiang, who had been silent for a long time, suddenly spurted out a mouthful of blood. The blood is slightly black. Tang San muttered to himself. Moreover, he discovered that there was black energy floating around the teacher's body. This means that part of the blood containing snake venom has already flowed to various parts of the body through the meridians. He had to force out the poisonous blood. Tang San used the Shantian technique to seal Yu Xiaojiang's 4 meridians through internal force. Then the toxins in the meridians were slowly forced to the broken arm. The poisonous blood slowly flowed out, and the black energy emitting from his body also slowly dissipated. Without warning, Yu Xiaojiang suddenly screamed. Huo Feng, who was sleeping soundly in the grass not far away, was suddenly awakened. Through the gap in the grass, he saw Tang San, who was giving Yu Xiaojiang the poison. Good guy, you are so cruel. But when he saw that the former's entire right arm had been chopped off by Tang San, Huo Feng couldn't hold himself together. He is indeed your master's great disciple. Originally, he planned to let Yu Xiaojiang or Tang San wake up to find himself seriously injured. That being the case, then I can only continue to sleep. After all, it was still early. On the other side, the pain in Yu Xiaojiang's face gradually faded, and the moans in their mouths stopped. From the broken arm, bright red blood began to seep out. When Tang San saw this, he immediately stopped the Shantian technique, then took out some herbs again and applied them to the wound. The wound of a broken arm is different from an ordinary wound, not only flesh and blood, but also bones. Once it is not treated properly or if it is infected, people will die immediately. Looking at Yu Xiaojiang, who looked pale but returned to normal, Tang San let out a long breath. This first step is at least a success. Even though he was very weak, Tang San didn't dare to sleep all night. Early the next morning, he found Huo Feng lying in the grass, severely injured and unconscious. The moment he saw Huo Feng, Tang San was shocked. What happened after I fell into a coma yesterday? He immediately stepped forward and put his fingers under Huo Feng's nose. There is still breath. Tang San was a little confused. Not only is there a breath, but the breath seems to be very well proportioned. He put his hand on Huo Feng's pulse, which was perfectly normal. This means that there is nothing serious inside Huo Feng's body, and he may just be in a coma. Seeing this, he gently shook Huo Feng's shoulders a few times, and then shouted. Huo Feng, can you hear me, Huo Feng? Huo Feng. Sure enough, Huo Feng, who had his eyes closed, soon became conscious. He slowly opened his eyes and looked at Tang San blankly. His tone was also very weak. Tang San. Where am I? Tang San explained that he found Huo Feng in the grass. He pulled the ladder up, and then helped him to where Xiaogang was. Huo Feng was naturally very cooperative. Master, what's wrong? Huo Feng pretended to be surprised, his face full of horror, especially when he saw Xiaogang's missing right arm. His expression was no different from that of an ordinary 6-year-old child. The teacher was poisoned by Datura snake. In order to save him, at this point, Tang San suddenly stopped and his eyes fell on Xiaogang's bare shoulders. The meaning is obvious. Huo Feng, what happened after yesterday? Tang San looked at Huo Feng and asked in confusion. The final blow of his most mandala snake should have been fatal, but when he woke up, there was no trace of it around him. Alas! Huo Feng sighed and slowly said the lines he had prepared long ago. Naturally, after Tang San fell into coma, he fought with the mandala snake again, but unfortunately he was not strong enough, so he was knocked away and passed out. Then nothing is known. Tang San nodded, not having the slightest doubt. Next, Xiaogang was in a coma for 3 full days. During this period, Huo Feng and Tang San could only stay in this soul-hunting forest together. What's wrong with me? But when Xiaogang woke up, it was already noon on the 4th day. He only felt that his body was so weak that he had no strength at all, and his eyes were spinning. Even just raising a hand is very laborious, but when he tried to control his right hand, he couldn't feel anything. Teacher, you are awake. At this time, Tang San walked over. Xiaogang also woke up a little. He suddenly remembered that he had been poisoned and fainted before. Suddenly there was an ominous premonition in my heart. He reluctantly turned his head and looked at his right arm. Eyes fell, empty, nothing. Boom! Like a bolt from the blue, Xiaogang suddenly understood everything, but how could he accept such a thing so quickly? Plop! At this moment, Tang San suddenly knelt down next to Xiaogang with a bang. After kowtowing 3 times, he said with runny nose and tears. Teacher, when I woke up and found you, your right arm could no longer be saved because of the deep poisoning. For the sake of your life, I can only make my own decision and chop off your right arm. When Tang San spoke, his voice was trembling slightly. That's all. Xiaogang shook his head and continued. No matter what, you saved me. As soon as I recover a little, we'll get out of here. Tang San nodded. The environment here was not good, and it was very unfavorable for wound recovery. It's just that this trip to the soul-hunting forest may end up empty-handed. At this moment, Xiaogang spoke again. Now that I'm in this situation, I can't help you hunt for high-level soul rings anymore. I can only settle for the next best thing. Upon hearing this, Tang San's eyes flashed. What the teacher means is, immediately afterwards, Xiaogang continued. Do you still remember the lone bamboo I showed you before? Huo Feng, who was not far away, was stunned when he heard Xiaogang's voice and almost stopped. Lone bamboo? That lone bamboo with only 10 years of cultivation.